You know what it is. That's right. It's time to talk money with your money nerd and financial coach. Now, tighten those purse strings and open those ears. It's the Money Talk with Tiff podcast.
Hey everyone, I am so excited because I have a repeat guest on the line. I have my cousin, Anthony Weaver, not my real cousin though, but if that name sounds familiar, he was on episode 199 and he talked about building habits, and I got a lot of good feedback about that episode. And so I'm bringing him back, and this time we're talking about 4 stories that every leader should have to connect with your team. So hey Anthony, how are you?
Hey Tiffany, it's been a while and I have been doing really well.
Awesome. Yeah, I know. Like when we talked the last time, it was episode 199. And now we're on like 300 and something. So it's been, wow. I know it's been quite some time. So people might not remember your voice. So I had to bring you back to refresh their memory.
I greatly appreciate it.
All right, let's go ahead and hop right in. So you are a leader in your career. So you have a team of hundreds of employees that you manage. And so what are some things that managers or leaders should have in order to connect with their team?
Well, you have to think back about why leaders are leaders in the first place. And one of the reasons why they're leaders is because, one, that they have somebody to follow them. And 2, they looking at the leader for direction. But also as a leader, you're not just there for the mission, you're also there for the people, which is putting the people first. And one of the ways to actually connect with your staff, your employees, is to really tell a story. Tell something that really can resonate with the everyday person. You've been in their shoes. What are the things that you're looking to provide value to their lives and so forth? Just to kind of bring home that you're human. It's almost like you ever talk to your parent and be like, have you ever been a kid before? Like, life is hard. And you'd be like, well, the mother or the parent or the dad be like, so suck it up. That's what we had to do. So, and that's what the thing is in leadership. It's like you have to kind of bring it back to the staff.
Now, when you say that sounds very vulnerable. So are you saying that a leader or a manager or what have you should be vulnerable with their employee? And if that's the case, how deep does this go?
Okay.
Because I'm like, are we talking about, this is what I did for the weekend? Or like, how vulnerable are we getting here?
Well, because as I was preparing for this particular interview, and I was going through all the stories that I've told my teams, and I usually tell a new story every week. And one of the things that I do in telling a story is talk about the rags to riches stories, like those obstacles that you've been through. And I kind of couple this together and call it the hero's journey. So you as a leader now, you've been through this. Even if you're a young person in leading a lot of older folks, I've been there. I'm actually been doing it now. The reason why you want to share this story is to kind of bring to them, how did you actually get to the position where you are? Or you can say, hey, I started, building a machine in the basement. Like that's how I started in IT. Like I broke the family computer. Back then, you only had one computer for the whole house. I broke it and I had to fix it. That's how I learned to do IT in the first place. And that's what got me started in my journey in IT, and then now become a leader, because I was like, hey, I've been there. Now let me just pass the torch on to the next person that wants to learn.
Gotcha.
And I have a full acronym though. It's really called HOPE. And let me just share that out right quick. It's H is for the hero's journey, which we just talked about. O is for the organizational purpose. P is for the passionate impact. And E is for the empathy and action.
Gotcha. Okay. So for H, the hero's journey. So you want to let your team know, like, this is how I got started. This is how I got here. This is what my career looked like, the highlights, y'all. We don't have to get into.
Yes.
Yeah. So right. At this last job, I don't know what happened. We getting into the highlights. Okay. And so for O, what other stories do we need to tell our team?
So with O, you're looking at the organizational purpose, which is this is your vision story. So think of Steve Jobs. He was very good at saying like, hey, I want to see people having these 3 items in their pocket. And people's like, how? Nobody knew what that would look like, but that was his vision. And to order to make that happen, he just had to keep saying like, we need to get here. Not sure how. And that's where the team comes in and figure out that how. And that is one of the things that I think that's the most impactful ways that you can actually lead. For me personally, I am more of like a sage. Like, I'm not a sage on the stage. I'm more of a guide on the side kind of guy, where it's like, I know exactly kind of what y'all doing, but I don't need to know what y'all doing. I just know I need to get here. And having that vision story is really impactful from a leader perspective.
Gotcha. Okay. And that makes complete sense. So give them the target, give them the vision of where the organization is trying to go, where your department's trying to go, and then let them figure out how they're going to get there. Now, with that being said, do you tie this into like their KPIs or their goals or things like that? So you allow them to create that to get towards the company goals?
Yes, because allowing them in the KPIs, the key performance indicators, to kind of help them understand on where the measurements are. So it's like, hey, if I want to move the industry to have at least 5,000 computers deployed out, they had to figure out, okay, well, what does it take? Work backwards. Let the team figure that out, because that's the whole purpose of why you hired them in the first place, is to do the work. Everybody wants to do the work. That's the reason why they want to do the job. Sometimes people are forced to do the job, but if you allow them that autonomy, it opens them up to actually, feel like they part of the team.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I'm sure we have all been in situations where we had a micromanager that tried to tell us everything to do in our job. And that is not a pleasurable experience. Right. So I definitely like this guide to the side approach that you have. Yes. Now, let's go into P. What is the P?
So P is about the passionate impact. And this combines like the world and individual impact stories, where some of these things, they can't be measured by things. So usually they try to say, like, in order to build success, you have to have things that are measured. But this one right here is mostly about the stories. What does the business or your team in general have an impact to the company? So think of Chick-fil-A. Actually, not Chick-fil-A. Well, you can do anybody. So think about Chick-fil-A even. Chick-fil-A, even though they're just a fast food restaurant, but you go there for the experience and you go for the smiles. And that is one of the things that the owners were shooting for. The owner, S. Truett Cathy, who started this back in 1946 for Chick-fil-A. Like, this is one of the things that they were looking for, is can they provide impact to the community while giving them quality service at the same time? So you can do that with your team. It's just talk about, like, what is that one impact that you're providing to the industry?
Gotcha. Okay. So what is the impact that you are providing to the industry? And does this also include themselves? So like their professional impact as well?
Yes, there is a story. I believe some people who are biblical, you might have heard this story already. But when you start changing the language of your staff, so say if there was a guy that was cleaning and he was actually sweeping the church or whatever that was in the process of being done. It wasn't the fact that he was saying that, oh, I'm here every day sweeping. He was like, no, I get the opportunity to clean the house of God. I get the opportunity to make sure that people come into a clean pulpit, have the opportunity to come into a sanctuary where they're proud to be in. This is my contribution. This is my impact to the congregation. It's almost taking yourself out of the equation, but what are your actions doing to improve the lives of everybody else?
Gotcha. So making that connection or helping your employees make that connection. How do I fit into this bigger picture? And I'm not just here to just get a paycheck. Like, my job is actually important and makes everything else move.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right on the spot.
Okay, perfect. All right. And then let's get into the E. What is the E for?
Now, E is the empathy in action, which is your customer's story. And I want to bring up Chick-fil-A again, because how many times you heard somebody say, my pleasure? And it just gives you that little tingly feeling like, oh, yeah, I just come here just to hear somebody say my pleasure today. Because, the world is nice, but sometimes you just having a bad day. You just go to Chick-fil-A bars. But and you go head on and you have somebody say my pleasure. It just put a smile on your face. And this is one of the things that happened with Truett. He said that he was at a hotel, staying at a hotel. An employee responded to his thanks in a sincere, my pleasure. And because he remembered that feeling, he wanted that for every customer in his store. So he put that part of their training program. So because it's that customer impact that could actually change the way how you run your business. It's like, this is why, like, you can take a live snapshot if you actually give out surveys. And when you get surveys from your customers and you say, this is why we do what we do. This is why we continue on to provide good customer service. We put smiles on our faces. We do the best that we can do because of the stories that we are receiving from the customers. And this is your empathy in action.
Okay. So getting the customer stories or getting the customer impact and relaying that to the team. I feel like that's super important, because how many times have you been in a situation you didn't get any feedback about how you did or how you're doing? And it's kind of demotivating. Like, I remember when I was in corporate America, and we would do like the yearly reviews or whatever. And I would practically have to beg for some critical feedback, because I'm like, if I'm doing everything right, like you're saying, then what are we doing here? Like, there has to be something that I can improve there, because if not, like, why am I not in your position then?
Exactly.
So, you got to tell me something. And so I really like that you are putting that as one of the acronyms, is to make sure that you share out with your team what's going on, and sharing those stories that you hear from the customers or other departments hear from the customers. And that's another point too. A lot of times departments are siloed. And so you never hear about, like, for instance, the good stories that sales has, never hears that in product management, who never hears that in IT, so on and so forth.
Right.
And so I feel like even just having this shared out company wide and then disseminating down to your team is awesome. So let's recap for the people, because we went over a lot. We want to give our teams hope. And what does hope stand for?
Hope stands for hero's journey. O is for the organizational purpose. P is for passionate impact. And E is for empathy in action.
Gotcha. So this was really good information. I know there are business owners listening, or people that are in positions either in management or even as employees. And if you're an employee and you're listening to this episode, you're probably like, this does not apply to me. My manager does not do this. But maybe you can say, you know what? You should listen to the Money Talk with Tiff podcast and listen to this episode with Anthony Weaver, where he goes over some things that can help, get us motivated. Might not want to say it like that. They might be like, okay, what you talking about? But edge that in there, because I feel like this is really important for leaders to know, and leaders and managers to know. So Anthony, with all of that being said, if people were interested in finding out more about you or learning more about Hope, let's see what I did there. How could they find you?
They can find me on the socials at About That Wallet, or you can even come to aboutthatwallet.com and just check out all the latest and greatest things that I've been up to. And, if you ever want to just have some management questions or just want to connect, just hit me up and shoot me an email.
All right. Sounds good. Well, thank you so much, Anthony. And I'll also add there. So Anthony's being very, very, hold on. Okay. Anthony's being very, very humble right now. He has a bomb YouTube channel, has way more subscribers than I do. But if you check out About That Wallet, his show is very entertaining and very fun. There's a whole drinking segment. I tell everybody about that. Anthony's like, why are you telling people this?
Gosh.
But I think it's just so cool in how he has everything set up. It's like YouTube goals. So definitely check out his channel, About That Wallet. And I'll make sure I have all of these links in the show notes as well. So thank you so much, Anthony, for coming on the show today.
Tiffany, thank you so much for having me on. And I mean, you're amazing. And I wish you the best in everything that you do. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Oh, y'all, I'm a cry. No. All right, y'all. Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you for listening, joining, and being a part of the Money Talk with Tiff podcast this week. You can check Tiff out every Thursday for a new Money Talk podcast. But if you just can't wait until next week, you can listen to previous podcast episodes at moneytalkwitht.com or follow Tiff on all social media platforms at Money Talk with T. Until next time, spend wise by spending less than you make. A word to the money wise is always sufficient.